What is up, everybody? This is Recap Rewind. I'm J-Lag.
And I'm NB.
And this episode is recapping reviewing Riverdale Season 4, Episode 6. And it's called Chapter 63, Hereditary.
And don't forget, guys, stick around for the ending because we are going to go through our recap roundups, our best moments, our best lines, our MVPs, our LVPs. So be sure to stick around for that. And if you're liking our podcast, we would like you guys to go on iTunes and type in Recap Rewind because we're doing a contest right now. And all you guys have to do is basically leave us a review, a 5-star review, and it enters you into a contest to potentially win a $50 Amazon gift card and a pop socket. Yeah. So all you have to do is leave us a review and comment, and that's how you enter the contest.
For sure. And the contest ends on December 11th, where we will be drawing one lucky wiener. So you have a bit of time, but still, just get it in there.
Yeah, and it's free to enter. It's free to play if you love us, and I think you do if you're still listening. So why not?
And as always, to our continuing listeners and our brand new ones, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get into the episode, y'all.
Yeah, y'all.
So,
yeah, y'all.
What'd you think?
I loved it. I think it was great. Yeah, I liked it a lot. It was a lot of drama. The last 10 minutes were absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I kept having to change my WTF moment because I was like, I don't know which one to choose.
You're like, rewind.
Yeah.
Next one.
What did you
Rewind.
think?
Next one. I thought it was good too. I think to your point, like everything kind of everybody's storylines kind of came to a big head at the very end. And I was like, oh, okay. Like everybody's got drama now. So it was good. I like the buildup of the episode. There were some things that were like questionable in terms of how they like laid it out, but we'll talk about it as we go through the episode. But yeah, it was good. I liked it. It was enjoyable. Okay, so it starts off with Archie, and he's just like being a superhero. First, I was like, "Are we rewatching last episode?"
I literally thought I was on the wrong episode. I'm like,
yeah,
am I watching last week's?
Are they doing a rewrite? Yeah. So they basically started off the same way. It's just like him, but now he's like hiding in the car, waiting for people to steal the car. Like Archie's like hiding as a superhero, but he's playing this like psychological game with the kids. So he basically cuffs them as the superhero, but then he comes back as Archie and he's like, yo, what happened to you? Like, let me get you out of this car. And so it basically shows him like, help this kid out, and then the kid ends up working at Pops, and everybody's like, yes. Like,
and that was super cute. Like seeing how they're like kind of being integrated back into the community, and like,
right.
And I think one question that like Jughead asks in his little story is like, how do they come together as a town, right?
Right.
And it was just such an interesting question to ask. I was like, it's so true. Like they seem so broken right now, especially after last season's like events. How do they come back and help each other out? And like honestly, this storyline was so freaking cute with like Archie finding them jobs and like, you know, Pops coming together and like all this other stuff. So it was super cute.
Yeah, I thought that was cute. Obviously Dodger's like pissed because he's like, who the hell is taking my kids away or whatever?
Yeah, which is like, ugh, like don't you have like adults to use? Like why are you depending on children? Why
do you need children? It's just a storyline. I get it. Like I think I was telling Postmaster when he was a guest on the show, and I was saying how Dodger, the character Dodger, is like originated from Oliver Twist, which is the same storyline. Like he takes orphan kids and makes them do like his dirty work. So like they're just using that same like storyline. But yeah, it's it's weird. But that's why Archie's involved, is because he's like innocent children are being abused.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, so we'll go through that because like that shit hits the fan later. But then it cuts to Pop's diner, and Betty and Jugs like see each other for the first time in a really long time. And I thought this part was really, really cute because Jughead's like,
cute.
So adorable. He was like, oh, I have writer's block. And Betty's all just like, but like maybe if you like kiss your girlfriend, like you'll feel better. And he's like, oh, I know, just have like writer's block. And she's like, but like if you kiss me, like maybe you'll feel better.
Yeah, it
like,
was so cute. I
so
died.
Adorable.
Yeah,
because I feel like I do that all the time.
Yeah,
it was like this
like
is
bringing it back. Like focus on me for a minute.
Yeah,
it was super cute. Yeah,
I loved it. Then it cuts to Cheryl, and she has a nightmare, and in the nightmare, her whole family is kind of standing over her bed. And she hears Penelope's voice, and she says, Julian needs a body, so we're going to give him yours. which is a direct connection to the movie Hereditary. If anybody's watched it, sorry, spoiler alert. If you haven't, that's too bad. It's been out for a while now, so I don't care. Long story short, it's about like possession and like taking over other people's bodies. But a bunch of other fucked up things happen in it, which is hard to explain. So if you still want to watch it, it's really fucking creepy and extremely scarring. It is definitely one of the scariest movies I've ever watched. Anyway, so that's Cheryl's whole situation. She wakes up and then she's like, what the fuck is going on? She sees the doll in the corner and she's like, this doll is like haunting me. I don't know what's happening. Then it cuts back to the El Royale, and because of this whole thing that Archie's doing, the El Royale gets vandalized like right away. And this is when FP gets involved.
I love how like they vandalized the gym, but like they didn't touch the boxing ring, which is like probably the most valuable thing in the boxing in the boxing club.
They're like, let's just break some windows.
It was everything like around the boxing ring.
They could have like spray painted it and been like, get out of here or something. Like nothing. Anyway, whatever. So they vandalize it. And this is when FP, like finally Archie's like, okay, fine. I'll talk to FP like for the first time ever. Even though we were saying last episode, like, why don't you get FP involved?
Yeah.
So he's like, you need to find Dodger. Like he's the point. He is the reason why this is happening.
Which is what we already know. It just keeps like looping itself in the same story and same dialogue. Like we already know it's him. Little,
yeah, I think it's more just like slow. The way that they're pacing it out, it's like Archie's only finally asking for help when he should have been asking for help from time. So anyway, we'll get to that in a second because it cuts back to Betty and Kevin at school, and Betty's basically laying down the entire situation because she's been spying on Charles, and she was like, all I really see him do is wake up at the hotel at the Five Seasons, and then he goes to work, then he goes to Pops, and then he goes to the gym, and then he comes back home.
Yeah.
And Kevin, randomly, he's like, he just sounds like a lonely gay guy. And I was like, I'm offended.
What? I'm like, what makes him gay from those four things? Like, why?
Like, what? Like, what? That's like any single man would do that. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I was like, why did you have to throw gay in there?
Maybe if she said like he goes to La Bonne Nuit like every night and like sings on stage, like I don't know, like something like out of the ordinary, something. But like he special. Just does things to like survive as a normal human being.
Or if he says like he goes to a gay bar in Riverdale, then I'd be like, oh okay, so he is gay.
It was so weird. Like, I was like, I messaged Jelly. I'm like, why is he gay? Like, what did Kevin get? I don't understand.
There was no connection whatsoever, and I was like, this is so triggering. I'm so annoyed. And again, it's just like
Kevin. It gives that line to Kevin, who is really only worrying about like his sexual orientation or like what he wants to fuck. I was like, oh, so like it's so random. It's
like it just doesn't stop with Kevin's like horniness. So whatever. At that point in time, the one thing I will say is like, and this is why the writing sometimes like makes me just laugh at this point, because like him saying he's a lonely gay guy is what Betty uses as a means to like go and do her next like thing in like the storyline. So I was like, okay, fine. I guess they had to give him the line, but he could have like played it off a little bit more playfully, been like, LOL, doesn't he like a gay guy? Like wink, wink. Like I wish he's a gay guy. You know what I mean? Like they could have played into the fact that like they don't know for sure, but like he's just like a horny like kid and just wants to like like have the fantasy that he's a gay guy. Anyway, I just thought it was weird. Anyway, moving on to the Lodge Res. This is when things get like very like it kind of all happens so fast that I was like, what?
Yeah, like for me it was very quick because I know like last episode was all about their court case and their trial,
right?
But like that was just one episode of trials. Like these guys were on trial for like a lot of shit. Like the fact that they're already at home, back to their regular selves, having breakfast together. I was like, wait, so you're not in, like everything's done now? Like so that's it?
So they're friends again. So yeah, they started off by saying like no more secrets, no more lies, which I feel like is like the slogan of like the every Lodge morning family.
They say that and then they go and break that like 30 times over in one day.
Exactly. So yeah, Veronica obviously like is pissed off. She's like, oh yeah, because you're not going to tell me about like your secret kids anymore.
And also, can we just talk about the fact that like they didn't even talk about Hermosa. Like, who is she? Where did she come from? Like, who was her mom? Did he cheat on Hermione with her? Like, nothing was said. I was like, Hermione, are you just going to sit there? Are you just going to sit there?
Hermione's just sitting there being like, cool. So, this half-sister
like,
that, like, has never existed
before. Crime. I'm like, bitch, Your husband
Like,
has another daughter.
What is happening? Like,
So
they make Hermione so like mute,
and that's
half
okay,
the
but
time.
that's the thing I don't appreciate is that half the time she's like this, oh my god, I didn't know, I can't, I'm so fragile. When Veronica's showing her how to like be a hostess, I'm like, really? She needs help being a hostess? Like,
she was working upstairs
seriously.
at the fucking Pop's Diner like just 2 seasons
like she's
ago.
fine, and that's the thing, they flip-flop her character so often and so drastically that I'm like, I don't understand, who is she supposed to be? Is she the damsel in distress, or is she a mob
100%.
boss ass bitch? Choose something.
Or does it
I don't
make her
appreciate
like
it.
Yeah, I agree. Or is it like because Hyrum has this like crazy energy that she just like gets like sucked into it right away as soon as he's sitting right in front of her? Like I don't know. I mean, I guess I could believe that, but at the same time they never really
like even if she knew about Hermosa, even if she knew her whole life, the way she reacted to it was so quiet and so passive. I'm like, what the hell? Like, this and is also you?
if she did know, couldn't she just couldn't Veronica like be mad at her mom for a second and be like, yo bitch, you knew about this fucking secret child? Have one sentence of dialogue to like clarify how like where everybody was at, you know what I mean? Like, Hermione could have easily been like, yeah, you didn't even tell me, you piece of shit. Like anything.
I definitely expected way more than that, what we got.
Yeah.
I was a little let down with that reaction because I was waiting for that. I thought for sure Hermione wouldn't have known.
Yeah, I'm sure she probably didn't, but at the same time, I'm like, react, girl, like react.
Yeah, it was just a little too weak on Hermione's part.
Agreed. So another weak thing that's happening. So Hyram's gonna be selling rum in fucking Riverdale.
Yeah.
Like what? Okay, fine. I mean, I guess he's not murdering anybody. He's not a gang member, but he's gonna be going back to his passion in life, which apparently is making rum. I'm like, all right, cool. And yeah, so Hermione's gonna be working at the Bon Nuit, which is a full circle moment, obviously, for Hermione because she was working at Pop's Diner in the first season.
Yeah.
And yeah, they ended off the whole like awkward conversation with like, let's make bygones be bygones. And I was like, okay. Like, I guess we're all going to awkwardly move on from this random,
like, I haven't even
mishmash
on that part yet. Let it sink in a little bit and then let me move on. Like, you guys just got out of jail. There's so much happening.
And like slowly, like you can slowly introduce situations. Like, yeah, the Hermosa thing is still not clear even after the conversation that she has with Veronica later. I'm like, anyway, we'll get into it later. Let's talk about it later. So Archie and FB talk really quickly, and FB's like, I was watching the entire time and we like arrested him, but he didn't have anything illegal on him, so we had to let him go.
Right.
And Archie's like, darn it, that didn't work out. But I'm like, can't you just like scout him for a little bit longer? I'm sure he's gonna do something shady.
And,
like in the next
probably
like
can
week.
Get testimony from all these effing people being like, he's shady, he's
the
a
kids,
drug dealer.
Like, come on, the kids, the store owners, like they could build a full case. Anyway, whatever. Then it cuts to Pop's Diner, and again, Betty and Jughead are talking about the book. And he's noticing that there's a difference between the first novel and the second novel. He's like, the first novel's writing's like different syntax. And he starts using like grammar words that I just don't even know. And he's like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it was 2 different writers for sure. And he's like, I have a theory. I think it's my grandpa. And Betty's like, I don't know. That's like a little bit like loose of it. Like, you don't have any evidence really. Then he's like, he sent me like the first edition, first Baxter Boys book, and like, why would he do that? And then he wrote this like sketchy like thing about like not trusting people, so like whatever. And Betty's like, I get it, but you still need proof. Like, this is like not really much to go by. And then she was like, but speaking of which, I'm also doing something that has no evidence or proof. So then she goes and talks to Chick in jail.
She's like, that reminds me. And then she gets triggered. Like, everyone triggers her to do like her next move.
Yeah. So she goes to Chick, and then she asks him about Charles. And right away, I wrote down the note. At what point did she think that talking to Chick would have given her the truth? Like, she knows better. Like, she's smarter than this. And like, he does. So whatever. Chick spends his story. He basically says like, we were high on Jingle Jangle, and then Charles got really high and then killed this like guy that was in our room. And then we had to like bury the body or whatever. And he was like, Charles snapped and like darkness took over him. Like, he was like a serial killer. And then I was like, okay, so I guess he is gay, but like, do we still believe Chick at this point?
I
Like,
just
I don't
didn't
even
understand,
know.
like you're saying, I didn't understand why Betty thinks that going to him is gonna prove into like a valid story that she's gonna believe.
Yeah.
Like, he was a psychopath. Like, he almost tried to kill you guys last season too. Like, why are you even going and talking to him?
And he was
believing
lying
anything
the entire
exactly.
time.
So I
so
just
like,
didn't-
why would you?
Yeah, I don't know.
And that's the thing. I'm like, unless she's playing the long game with him and being like, I don't trust any of these holes, and I'm just gonna like double cross all of them. Like, I could see her doing that, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. Maybe she's just like losing her edge. Like she's too like busy doing other shit. I don't know. So then it cuts to Cheryl, and she's just missing a lot of school because she's just afraid of leaving Nana and the twins with like this creepy evil doll. And then
can we just
Tony's
talk
like,
about her situation real quick? Like,
yes.
how do you?
Yeah.
What do you think about her mental state at this point? What do you think about Tony still being around at this point? Like, what do you think about Cheryl at this point?
So there's a few things that are going on in my head. One is they're obviously displaying Cheryl as this very mentally unstable character, which I know that they were talking about in the beginning of the season. They wanted to write her this way and like really explore her mental health. So it's hard for me to like follow her train of thought because it changes like every 5 seconds. Like 1 second she's like good,
Right.
The next second she thinks like the doll is haunting her. The next thing you're like, is she the one that's doing it, but she's crazy and bipolar? Like, I don't know what her situation is. So like, it's hard for me to like grasp even her as a character right now. And Tony, like, I feel like, number one, I've been saying it from the beginning of the season, like Tony's been putting up with some shit with Cheryl, and a part of me is almost like, why are you even sticking around? Like, I know that you guys love each other. I know that's like, you guys are like lesbian together and like it's CHONI and like whatever shippers, but at the same time, I'm like, what are you getting out of this that's
true.
making you happy?
Yeah.
You know, like, I want to see Tony, like, and that's the thing, like, we got this kind of like low-key promise that Tony was going to get a bigger story and a backstory, and I'm not seeing that in five episodes in. Like, when is her like curve gonna happen? Like, she's still just Cheryl's girlfriend, and I don't know if I want to see that forever. You know what I mean?
No, for sure. I agree with 100% what you're saying. What I don't appreciate is, I think I would have liked if they explored her mental state, and also the fact that she was hiding this for a longer period of time. But the fact that like Tony knows about Jason's dead body, okay, like her dead ass brother's corpse. Her girlfriend knows about it. Her grandma knows about it, I think, or maybe she doesn't. But the fact that Tony knows about it, it's like she's enabling her to keep this going. And to me, like, that's almost like that makes me not like Tony either, because I'm like, why are you letting her do this? If you really loved her, you would find help, or you would find some sort of way out of this situation, but instead you're kind of just ignoring it. You're leaving it in the basement. I don't know, I just wish they went like another way with it, because now Tony's involved in this whole craziness too. It's not just Cheryl anymore.
And that's a really good point, because now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, they've totally separated Cheryl and Tony, like, since the beginning of the season, really. Like, they've completely separated them from the rest of the kids. Like, they're not involved in any of the conversations. Like, Reggie has more conversations with the core four than Cheryl does. And like, she's isolating herself, and I get it. Like, Cheryl's going through some shit right now, so I guess they want to kind of keep things low key, but it would be nice to see Tony reaching out to Jughead, or reaching, like, Jughead and her used to be buddies. Like, you forget where Tony came from. Like, her and like Tony and Jughead were like so close in the beginning, and like, where's that, like, where's her like Pretty Poisons? Like, all of these supporting characters have like fallen away from them.
And I think maybe if they spent this episode maybe on like Veronica and Cheryl, just those two characters, they could have explored Cheryl's like trauma more and like her mental health more, because that is going to be a big storyline. You got to give it time, and you got to explain it properly. But I feel like we're rushing through it still. And like you're saying, it's true. Like, Tony should be going to the friends being like, guys, I need your help with Cheryl. Like, she's really like, she's lost it. Like, she's living with her dead brother.
Yeah.
Like, it hasn't gotten to that point yet. It's weird.
And a part of me is trying to figure out like what is the final message that they're going to
Yeah.
be giving Cheryl? Like, are they just going to say like, yes, if you have issues, like you need to get help? Like, what is the situation that's going to happen? Because like they just keep digging themselves into a deeper
Like, is it
hole.
only going to get uncovered because people are trying to buy the estate back? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want it to be that. Like, that's so random. Like, I want it to
I
be.
mean, it looks like that is what the
I know.
situation is going to be, but at the same time, and I'm like not mad at that, but I'm also, but the real question is like, what is going to make her snap out of it?
Yeah.
Like, what's going to get her out of this? And I really do think that, to your point, Tony's the person that is kind of responsible because she's the closest one to Cheryl right now to make that decision and say like, okay, we need to like go and get outside help.
Like, I still think she needs a parent. I really do think she still needs a parent.
I mean,
so
who?
Huh?
There's nobody left. There's like nobody left.
But
though.
Penelope's not dead, so
She's gonna come back and be like,
money-
sorry, I was the
I don't
gargoyle
know.
king
My money
last
is on
season."
her coming back and being like, look, I fucked up my whole life. I don't know. I still feel like she needs a parent to like get her through all the shit that she's been through.
I agree, but I just don't know like where that's gonna
Yeah.
go. All right, well, we'll keep talking about that as this episode goes on. So we'll cut back to Betty and Charles, and Betty basically says that she confronts him, and she says, "So this is what Chick says," and he's like, "You talk to Chick? Like, why wouldn't you even come to me first?" And Betty's like, "Okay, well, then if you're so pissed off and you think that he's not telling the truth, then I want you to take a polygraph test." And he's like, "Okay, fine." So then it cuts to Archie, and he's talking to the two kids that he kicked out like from time from last episode, and he says, like, why do you even want to work for Dodger? Like, I'm trying my best to like make sure you guys are happy or whatever. And he's like, yeah, but like there's like free pizza and like games, and I'm like they're great and it's like fun. Like we get paid and shit. And Archie's like, what the fuck? Even I was like, I get that these are kids and I want to give them like the benefit of the doubt, but I'm like, you guys are doing crime for free pizza and games? Like, are you fucking kidding me?
I
like,
guess they're kids. Like, what are you gonna say?
but what ratchet kids are you?
know.
Like, where are you coming from that your parents aren't teaching you not to do crime for free pizza and games? Like, I don't understand.
I don't know.
So whatever. Cuts to Archie talking in the lounge, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know what to do with these kids. Like, does anybody have like an arcade games like lying around that you can play?" I'm like, what?
I was like, this is so random.
So whatever. Veronica and Betty are like, well, you just need exposure. Like, you need to like expose like the Royale more. And Betty's like, I can write an article in the Blue and Gold for people to like help volunteer and stuff. And Veronica's like, I'll like, ask my vendors. I was like, your vendors? Like, okay, bougie bitch. Like, you got like vendors?
It kind of annoyed me. I don't want to be a hater on Veronica, but like, it kind of annoyed me that she had an answer for every single thing. And I get that that's supposed to be like, as a girlfriend, they want to position her in that way. I get it. Cause like, she's amazing. Like, she helps him out for everything, but it was almost too perfect. And like, there was no sense of like, there's no challenge for him because like
there's no conflict. Yeah.
Like, she's freaking giving him everything. She's like, burgers and pizza and onion rings and milkshakes. I'm like, damn, like he got even more than pizza. Like, it was just too much.
Yeah, I definitely.
Like, how does she have so much money? I thought she's like almost bankrupt.
I know. They make her seem like she has like unlimited money, and then she has like no money. She's like, I can't even like pay rent to like buy another place and not stay under the same roof as my parents.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what the fuck? So, which I'll talk about later because I got really annoyed about that. But no, I totally agree. But I will say that like, outside of the fact that she has an answer for everything, they're also positioning her as someone who's like not with Archie and not realizing that he's going through some really awkward shit. Like, why did it take 5 episodes for her to be like, well, all you need is exposure? And I'm like, yeah, maybe you could have told him that while you guys were fucking in episode 2 and having some pillow talk. Like, there's so many other.
If anything, I feel like I'm missing those moments more than this shit. Like they haven't kissed, I feel like, in 2 episodes.
I mean, they have. Yeah, that's true. I guess.
Like, there's no romance in. I'm not seeing like the romance in it. Like, aside from them saying like, I love you, like, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Like, I'm missing those like cute little VARCHIE moments at school because they're just so busy with their freaking business empires over here. Like,
yeah. Anyway, we'll get back to them in a second. But right before that, Cheryl's at school and she gets a call to come to the principal's office. It turns out that Dagwood, one of the babies, was choking on a ping pong ball and then ended up having to get a tracheostomy to get it out. I was like, oh,
Like,
what the fuck?
The amount of detail that freaking receptionist went to, I was like, what did you go to the hospital too? Like, how do you know all this?
I was like, isn't that privileged information for the family only to know? Anyway, whatever. So Cheryl like leaves. She's like, I need to do something before I go to the hospital. So whatever, we see her do that in a second. But before that, it cuts to Veronica and Hermione at the Bon Nuit, and Hermione's like, I don't know how to work anymore.
Like,
I was in prison for like 2
I can't do anything anymore. I'm like, why are you glitching out? Like
you had a job last season and the season before. Why is it so
like
difficult
you were running
for you
a
to
criminal empire, and now she's like, what? A table? like,
how do I give them a menu? Like, what the hell? And also, like, why are you employing your mom at your workplace? Like, there's no other job in all of Riverdale that you can do.
Oh my god!
Like, I don't
so
get
busy. Like, Veronica killed me.
Like,
she's like, reservations are taken only after a certain time. You can only sit that guy there and that guy there, and on Wednesday nights you can't sit anyone there. I'm like, when, girl? This place is dead empty. Like, where is your business? And why are they coming to a speakeasy owned by a 16-year-old girl? It kills me.
It's so I can't believe the storyline is still going on. Like the Bon Nuit. It kills me.
They should have freaking burned it when that guy put himself on fire.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And even that scene, I'll cut to that scene now because like we're talking about it. But yeah, Hermosa and Hyrum come in. They're like, yo, like, where's our table? And I'm like, it's true. Like, why are they still going there? Like, who is still like, they only used the Bon Nuit this episode just for them to come in and be like, where's our table? Like, I don't like this table. Like, and that was it. That's the only reason why they had.
And then after an entire season of screwing your dad over in like millions of dollars and all these legal things, she's like, Mom, give them table 11. And then like Hermione's like, yeah, so true. Nailed it. I was like, really, girls? Like, we're stooping to giving him the bad booth at your speakeasy?
Is there like a pillar in front of it or something?
Like, I can't. Who's the musical performer, man? You don't even have Chelsea anymore.
Like, who's going there for dinner?
I'm dead.
I don't get it. So whatever. So the one scene that I did miss was Cheryl goes home and she finds a doll that's like Escape. Apparently it's Escape this like salt circle.
Yeah.
And it's sitting in Jason's arms. And then she hears something and then she sees her aunts. Like she hears something upstairs. She goes upstairs and she finds her aunts and uncles in the living room. And they're like, Cheryl, we need to talk to you. And then she faints.
Yeah.
So she's definitely going through some shit. Anyway, we'll cut to her in a second, but back to Charles and Betty taking this polygraph test. And so he spins this new story where he basically says that it was Chick who killed this Trick. He walks in on them and he had to help bury the body. Like he put like lye on it and like whatever. He's like, I went into survival mode and like I just like figured it out. And then she asked the question, are you hiding anything from us? And then his like thing went crazy. And then he's like, I'm a recovering addict. I attend Narcotics Anonymous meetings at the gym. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then that's kind of how that scene ends.
Yeah.
I do love the way that this episode ends because now everything that I'm saying as I'm recalling and I'm like, wow, that's so tight. I felt bad for him.
I did find it weird that
oh, you did?
I did find it weird that on the question of like, are you hiding anything? He's like, and then he's like, I'm a drug addict. And I was like, is he really a drug addict though? Like, is that really the issue here? But I didn't think anything of it. Like, I definitely didn't think like he was conspiring, you know?
Yeah,
I just found it weird that like he quickly came up with that like addict excuse.
You felt that it was like something that he just came up with right away.
Yeah, because I just didn't believe it. I was like, I don't know if he's really a recovering addict.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of believed it. I was like, oh, that's an interesting storyline. They've never really done that yet.
It was almost like it was too real. And I was like, they're not going to do this, you know?
They were like, Riverdale? No, they would never do this. They're going to talk about a doll possessing a family and not talk about mental health like straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll talk about them in a second, but we'll cut to Archie at the El Royale, and Hyrum comes to visit, which
really
I thought was a
cute.
really cute moment.
I like almost had to cry.
I never know, like you obviously never know what to expect when Hyrum and Archie are in the same room, but you also have to remember, like, the last time they saw each other was like from time, like before he even went to jail. Like, I think it was a boxing match was probably the last time they actually saw each other. So he comes in and he's like, I just want to say, like, in person, I'm sorry for your loss. Your father was a good man. And I got really sad about that too. I was like, oh yeah, man, it was so cute.
It was really cute.
I didn't expect that coming from, like, Hyrum, which makes me feel like, what are you gonna do? Like, what are you about to fucking do? Because I don't trust it whenever he does anything good. So then he says, in his honor, I would like to make a charitable donation. And Archie, obviously, as an idiot that he is, he's like, no, I don't want any money. And he's like, I don't want your help. So obviously Hyram's like, okay, well, okay, bye. And also, anyway, whatever. I can't even, like, talk about the fact that, like, people have money or don't have money because at this point, like,
yeah,
he's like, just out of jail.
It's a blank ass check. I'm like, how does this guy still have blank checks? Like how much money does he have? And why isn't it seized by the government? Like, you can't just get arrested for, like, frauds and, like, embezzlement and then come out and still have your money. It would be, like seized.
It's not a real thing, guys.
I don't know. Anyways, we can't do that.
Anyway, so he says no, and we move on to the next scene, which is Cheryl waking up with CHONI, like, kind of standing over her because she, like, faints.
Yeah.
And the cousins basically say, we want to sell the maple business. It's like, we're running out of money. And I guess Thistle House is connected to it, so they have to, like, sell everything.
It's like the whole, like, estate, I guess. Like, all the trees and stuff.
Right. So then Tony, like, looks over at Cheryl and she's like, maybe it is time to downsize. So, like, to your point, to what you were saying earlier and, like, what we were talking about earlier, I think she does try her best to, like, maneuver around Cheryl, knowing that she's, like, a little unstable right now. So I do understand that,
there's
like,
a difference
Tony can't
between,
be like,
hey, we should downsize, and hey, your dead brother's corpse is still living with us. Like, those are two very different points of advice. Like,
that's true.
It's just very different.
That's true. I'm very, like, I am very interested to see, like, where that's all gonna go. But so she is talking to the cousins. The cousins are like, okay, well, what do you want to do? And, you know, because Tony said that, Cheryl's like, I will consider it. But then as soon as they're like, can we go to the chapel? We want to go down to the chapel to, like, light a candle or whatever. She, like, loses her mind. And she's like, absolutely not. She's like, never come here again. And they're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And then they dip. So again, it just shows how kind of volatile, like, mentally she's at right now. Like, she's not in a very good place, clearly. And I'm like, worried that they're going to screw this up, but also very intrigued about how they're telling this story. So I don't really know what to think.
I'm excited about it. Like, I'm still, like, I like it.
Yeah, I do like it. I just, like, want to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
So then it cuts to the best scene of the entire episode.
It's not, like, one of their best moments ever.
Yeah, I will say, like, very confidently that it was the best moment of them together in one scene. Because
like, I don't think we got through season 3 without seeing them kiss at all. Like, we never saw them kiss.
Oh boy. So just thinking about it, I'm like, ooh. Whatever. Hermione's, like, going down to the kitchen to, like, get some water.
Like, yes, it was a very hot scene, but, like, Hyram's level of, like, horniness was, like, through the roof. Like, this poor woman's, like walking alone in her apartment, like, probably went to go get water. It's like the middle of the night. He literally storms in and starts taking off his cufflinks and his shirt. I'm like, she hasn't even spoken to you yet. Like, you guys haven't even had a moment outside of prison.
She's like, Hyrum? He's like, I want to come home. He's like taking his shirt off already. He's like half naked,
shirtless and oiled up. She's like, why are you here?
Like, I could not even handle it because it was happening so fast. I was like, okay. Okay.
And
I was like, this is.
And every time they cut from, like, Hermione's face, like, she's just in the same position. She's not, like, moving. She's not, like, taking off her wardrobe. She's just, like, in shock. And then it cuts to Hyram's ankle and he's, like, already shirtless. His pants are going off.
He's like, want to do this, want to do this, want to do this. I was like, her face was basically like my face the entire time, because I was like, oh God, this is so hot, but also like, why is it happening so fast?
Yeah, and then anyways,
she slaps she slaps him, and then he's like, ooh, is that like foreplay or is that like punishment? And then she's like, it's fucking punishment. You tried to fucking kill me. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Also, let's also not forget that like the last time they were together, like she wanted him and he was like, no, I'm out. Like I'm leaving.
Yeah,
so for him to come
true.
back like this strong and like this into her, I was like, holy crap, like, okay, I'll take it. I'll definitely take it. But like,
and that's the thing. That's why this whole time I'm like, okay, Hyram's obviously got something up his sleeve. He's gonna be doing something to manipulate these girls. But I wasn't thinking about that at all this part of the episode, because I was like, there's this moment where he like turns her around and then he like puts his hand on her neck, and I was like, Daddy.
Yeah, it was hot. It was hot.
I couldn't.
They could have added some music. Hot. I feel like I needed some like.
They could have added a little bit of music, but I will say that like Hyrum / like Mark Consuelos, like the way he played this scene, and it's not just because we like know him and all that, but I literally will say this with confidence that he played it perfectly, in the sense that he wasn't like, oh hey baby, like he wasn't like,
of course,
like overtly sexy. He was like powerful and commanding, which is exactly like, what I think Hyrum would do in that scenario. Sure. He would just be like this dominating person who like you can't get away from,
and still trying to win her over.
Sexual energy.
Like he was still trying to say like, I want you, I want to be in you. Like he was basically saying all of that.
He's like, I need you by my side. I need you in my bed. I was like, okay.
I was like, what more?
I was
and
into
she's
it.
Like,
I was like, what else do you want to do? And then she's like, I already regret this, which is like one of my favorite cheesy lines. And then she starts making out with him, and then they're like, fuck, whatever. Man. It was crazy.
But the best part was like, I think he was supposed to like put her on the table, but there was no like angle of that.
There's no table.
So all you hear is like and then the scene cuts, and I'm like, what?
And then it cuts. They're like, they had sex like 10 minutes later. Oh man, so funny. So then it cuts back to Betty and Jughead, and they're on the phone, and this part also kind of annoyed me. So Jughead and Betty are just kind of like talking about the stories and like what's going on, and Jughead's like, yeah, like he was like, I'm pretty sure it's my grandpa, but I'm not 100% sure. And then Betty's like, isn't there a paper that he wrote in Riverdale like once he transferred? And I was like, how does Betty know about the paper?
Yeah.
And Jughead doesn't know about the paper. And Jughead's been at Riverdale this whole time, and he's never investigated his grandpa ever.
I guess like, he's never really had an interest in his
But at the
grandpa.
same time, I guess, yeah,
you know?
I guess that makes sense. And he never knew that he was a writer, which I get. But the fact that Betty was like, I know this. I'm an encyclopedia. I was like, how do you know about this situation?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Moving on to Archie and Veronica, and basically they become like the foster parents to like the entire El Royale kids. She's like, I got games, like we're gonna like host like a sick night, like it's gonna be sick, like tell all your boys. And they're like just like excited. This is the only like cute VARCHIE moment we get this episode, where like they hug each other and she's like, we are such a good team.
Yeah.
Like the end.
Yeah, that was it.
Then it cuts to Cheryl, and this doll situation is still happening. She takes the doll and she's like, I'm going to put you underwater. And the water's like bubbling.
Yeah, I was like, where are the bubbles coming from? Like, is the doll like,
why is it bubbling?
Like, what's happening? Why are there bubbles?
At the same time, I was like, also like, I was waiting for something to happen. Like the water turns red or like spews out like maple syrup or something, like anything. I was just like, there was nothing there. And then it cuts to Tony, and she just looks like even more concerned, because she's like,
Tony's reaction face kills me.
She's like, my girlfriend might be crazy, but also, are we haunted? Like she's not even sure herself anymore. So whatever. Then it cuts to Veronica. She comes in the morning. This also is one of my favorite moments of the episode, because Hermione's sitting there. She's like, she has her tea.
She's just sipping her tea.
Like,
she's so quiet.
Yeah, she's just sipping her tea. She's like dead ass quiet. That's when you know something's wrong. So then she's like sitting there sipping her tea. Veronica's like, oh, hey, Mom. And then she like kind of walks toward the table. Hermione's like, hey girl. Then she like,
they see this like
Veronica,
huge like weekend bag, duffel bag on the chair.
Yeah.
She's like, whose bag? And then he's like, it's my bag, darling.
And then fucking I died. Like,
you know that
Hermione's just like
you know that feeling of like you're in a room and like you just want to sink into your chair and like disappear into like the abyss. That was Hermione sitting on that chair.
That was her
she
face.
just wanted to camouflage into the wall.
She's like, I'm sorry, I got dickmatized last night. I can't help myself around him. She's like, I invited your father back, and like Veronica's like, and, like so pissed at her mom.
Hyrum knew he had Hermione. Like he didn't even have to ask her again, like get a reassurance. Yeah. He was just like, no, like I dickmatized her. Like she's mine now.
It's so funny. And then Veronica's just like, she's like, I want to hear it from your mouth, Mom.
She's like, I don't have a mouth anymore.
My mouth can only be used for other things. Dick things. Can't do anything else. So whatever. So yeah, Veronica's basically like fully and, like, betrayed.
Veronica's face this whole time is like you can't see my face, but it's like she's like getting like getting like sucker punched every other second.
Like, progressively like pissed off even more and more. And then Hyrum like turns around and he's like, are you like jealous of Hermosa? Like, you know that you're like the apple of my eye, like you're my fave. And Veronica's just like, okay, stop. Like, we're gonna like, I can't with you guys. You guys are the worst, whatever.
Why doesn't she ever say like, I want to get the fuck out of here, I'm gonna move out?
That exactly. And that's what I wrote down in my notes. I was like, she's so upset with her parents. She can't stand her parents. Just leave. Yeah. Like, you don't need to stay there anymore. Clearly, you're like making millions of dollars that you can like rent fucking arcade games for your boyfriend. So like, clearly you can pay rent. Go somewhere else.
Or live with Archie.
It was just like,
because like he doesn't have a dad.
Live with Archie. No. True. Like there's an empty room. That'd be cute. Anyway, and yeah, like the Coopers are like living together. They should all like just live beside each other. It'd be cute. Whatever. So then it cuts to Betty and Jughead, and this is when they officially find out, or I guess they don't officially, but they like theorize because they find a old story that the grandpa wrote, and it's a book, and it has all the characters from the Baxter Boys, but it's not called the Baxter Boys. Yeah. And then Jughead's like, this is totally my dad, like it's totally him. I can't believe it. But then I was like, what happened to the grandpa? Like, now I want to know all the whole storyline with the grandpa. Yeah. Like, did he drop out right after he wrote that story? Like, did he leave like Riverdale? Like, we didn't know that he went to Riverdale, and now we know that he's in Riverdale. Like, I don't get it. So I'm sure we're going to hear more. I know that you also mentioned that there is a potential that like he might have been cast already.
Yeah, I think they casted the actor that is potentially going to play him. So I think we're gonna get to see him because I just feel like this story will feel so empty without his role in it.
We need answers.
Because FP can't answer to it. Like FP doesn't know anything, so our answers are gonna have to come from him.
Yeah. So then it cuts to Alice and Charles, and they're at home, and Betty's like, "What's going on?" And basically, it turns out that Chick called the FBI to put a tip in about the murder that happened, and like named Alice as the murderer because of what happened last season or 2 seasons ago. And now Charles has to like investigate / like help them cover up this like murder.
And that was another thing that was weird because Charles was like, I guess we'll have to go and clean up the mess and like clean up the evidence. Yeah. And FP's like, true. I was like, oh. And Charles was like, we better go do that now before dinner. And then FP's like, okay, I'll come with you. Also, can FP act more like it's his fucking son? Because, like, they have no relationship. Yeah. Like, he's so cold to him.
Can they could have easily, like, and honestly, like, I know that there probably wasn't time for it. Like, but they have not had a moment. Like, they could have had, like, a scene with them, like, burying the body or, like driving to
or even driving
the
back
grave
to
site.
Be like, hey, how's life now that like you have me as a dad? Like something. There hasn't been any conversation.
Is it awkward weird. That it's me? Like, come on. Like literally nothing. So whatever. Then it cuts to the El Royale, and they're having like another lit party. Like the El Royale has like had 3 amazing parties so far. So they're having this amazing party. Obviously, Dodger shows up and he like crashes it. And this is when Archie is like, okay, like what the fuck is going on? Like, why are you still here? And then Dodger goes, yeah, let's scrap. Like, why don't you bring out your like uniform? And Archie's like,
So how did he know that Archie's the one?
It's just his response, like the way that he reacted. Like, obviously,
okay.
Archie's not a fucking liar. So he's like, oh, okay. Like, you are the fucking hooded person. So before anything goes down, that's when everybody else comes outside. Like, Veronica's like, yo, get the fuck out of here. The cops are on their way. And then they dip and he's like, okay, I got my answer anyway, so it's fine. So what did you think of the way that this all kind of resolved?
Which part? Like the whole
This part.
mask thing and how he knew that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not liking this Dodger storyline at all. I think if Archie's conflict with the El Royale was just the fact that these kids need a place to stay, they don't have any funding for this program, they need help. Like, I think I would have been okay with that storyline. This whole thing with Dodger is so freaking extra to me, and the fact that it's taken now like 6 episodes for both of them to be like, oh, you're my enemy now.
Yeah.
Like, I need to get rid of you. Like, okay, but you already knew that it was Dodger, and you already knew that it was probably Archie, who's the owner of this club, who's like taking your kids away from you.
The one that's exactly.
Like,
I was like,
guys,
put two and two
like,
together.
come
Like,
on.
it's not fucking rocket science. Like, it's obviously
Yeah.
him. So yeah, that's the thing. I was like, how it took like Dodger this long for them to even realize that it was Archie. I was like, okay,
I think that's the one storyline out of all of these ones that I'm kind of like, I'm okay to give up. Like, I'm down with Jughead. I'm okay with Betty and Charles. I'm okay with Cheryl. But this one, it felt like a little, I don't need it, you know?
It's not as strong because I feel like we've already seen it. That's the problem.
And that too.
Like,
And
that's
that too.
truly the issue. Anyway, cutting back to the Cooper residence, Charles and FP show up again, and this is when they, I guess, like, they're like, we took care of it, which means, I guess, like, they moved the body. Like, I don't know what they did.
And first of all, like, Charles,
didn't the body like
you're
dissolve?
an FBI agent, but you're a motherfucking idiot who comes back from a crime scene covered in like the blood and the dirt. Like, this guy couldn't even change his shirt. Like, he fully walked back home with like all the evidence on his like body.
He's like, it's done. Don't worry, guys. I'm like, okay,
like,
so
you're
anybody
stupid.
who's
Like, you're walking
Anyway,
home with the
whatever.
sheriff. Like, on top of that. Like, is he
So-
really an FBI agent? I feel like I'm not, like, I don't know. He's seeming more sketchy as we go through.
yeah, and also like as we are like as you like. I'm only remembering now, so maybe this is one of the things that we have to keep in mind is the tapes went out like weeks ago, right? Like the tapes that everybody got sent. We still don't know who's sending those tapes. Clearly somebody's watching the front of the house. So you would think that they wouldn't show up in like dirty fucking clothes.
It's just
being like, yo.
like, yeah, it was just weird. And I don't know if that's like an intentional, like, I hope that's going to lead to something.
It must be.
Or it's just
be.
on the producer's part being like, oh, whatever. Like, you're wearing the same wardrobe from what you were wearing before. We'll just dirty it up and walk back home. Like, but those little
Right.
things, like, they annoy me because, like, how dumb are you? You know, like.
He could have come back in like a hoodie or something.
Something more.
Like, he's wearing like work clothes.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever. We're going to move on. We're getting too picky again. So then it cuts to Jughead and Mr. DuPont, and they're talking. And Jughead literally goes like, what an idiot. He goes in so hard. And he's like, so you didn't write the first book. It was my grandpa, and you stole the story. And he like fully
He's
like
you're a
fucking
plagiarist.
accuses him.
You're this. You're a thief. You stole my. And the guy's like, you're going to get expelled.
Yeah, so like obviously DuPont goes on like full defense mode, and then he like turns into this like monster. He's like, you're trash, you're like bottom feeding dropout.
He's like, you people just want to like suck everything from us. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. I'm like, here we go. I just think Jughead went in on it like too heavily on the guy, because I'm like, what did you expect him to say back to you? Yeah, I did steal it from your grandpa. Like, what was he gonna say?
Like, what is he gonna like admit to it? Like, fuck, like it's an old man. He like, so he basically is like, I built Stonewall Prep. So I'm like, obviously he's like, he fucking did something wrong. But at the same time, I'm like, yo, you couldn't come up with a better plan than to just like fucking ambush him like that. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Especially because he spent the whole episode like building up to this revelation, and like solving it all, and then I'm like, you went and literally like fucked it all up in like two minutes. So.
That being said, I feel like Jughead does that a lot.
For
like,
sure.
He's definitely like that character. Like, he's always the first person to be like, yo, Hyrum, are you the fucking Black Hood? I'm like, can you please just wait a fucking second? Like, he's kind of like senseless in that way. But anyway, so like this whole situation, like I don't know what Jughead was expecting to get out of the situation, but he just got really frustrated. So then it cuts back to Veronica, and she's working at Pops, and Hermosa walks in, and she's like, "Let's have a chat, sis to sis."
Sister to sister, okay?
I love like Hermosa to Hermosa. Like she just like gets very like Spanish randomly, which I kind of love.
And then Veronica's like, "Oh, I know more Spanish than you."
Didn't she like say her name like very specific? She's like, "Hermosa, are you here?" Like she was very on her accent game this episode.
I feel like they were just trying to one up each other, and like every time they would say Miami, they're like Miami. And mommy and papi and like they're trying to like go more like Spanish as the conversation went on.
She's like, my mommy was a singer and papi was a like. I like it was basically a song.
I like how she called her out too. She's like, whatever you call him, like papi or daddy,
papi or whatever. Yeah,
that was funny.
So we do find out that Hermosa's mom was like a singer, and she ends up dying, and after she died, he ended up taking care of Hermosa, like I guess money wise only, because clearly he wasn't around. So,
and that's another thing too. It's like I wonder why she feels so strongly to her father when like clearly he wasn't a part of her life. Like financially he took care of her, but like clearly he never brought you during Christmas. He never brought you around like with the actual family. Why are you still like?
Why you love him so much?
I don't know. Maybe
which
we're
is why I keep thinking like, is this like her is that really his daughter, or is it really his mistress? Like it's
what? I do love that. I do love that you're saying that, but the fact that they used it last season on a waste character like Evelyn and whatever his face is, I don't want it to happen again because I'm like, it's cheap. You guys already did this last season, but they should have done it last season. They should have done it for these two because that would have worked so much better.
Yeah, and it would have been really like, what the fuck? That's crazy.
And I do feel like they're going to do this. Like, they do want to build a Veronica and Hermosa relationship in the future. Like a sister thing. And I can see that too. Like, I'd be down for that.
But like, what purpose does she have past this storyline? You know what I mean? Like, she's going to sell rum in Riverdale.
She won't stay. Like Charles won't stay. Kind of like, you know? Like, he's going to leave. We all know he's going to leave. It's just a matter of like how. Or is he going to be alive?
Like how. Right. So anyway, so she ends up like saying that like, you know, Hermione and Hyrum are going to renew their vows tomorrow. Like Veronica's like gagged the entire time. She's like, what the fuck? Seriously? So she's invited to the party, and she says like, you're entitled to your opinion of him, but the father I know, there's good in him. So I was like, okay, we get it. Like Hyram's kind of good. Like fuck, Jesus. So then it cuts to Cheryl, and the cousins are back in the house at Thistle House, and they're like, you be cray-cray, so we're going to declare you mentally unfit, and then we're going to take over everything, and you're going to go, like, to a mental institution.
Why? Because they saw the body?
No, because she yelled at them to, like, get the fuck out of the chapel or whatever earlier, remember? Right. So, like, now she's, like, they just came back and tried to attack her again. Then it cuts to Mr. Chipping and Jughead talking, and this is when Jughead's like, yo, like Mr. Dupont's cray-cray, like he did this, we need to expose him. And Mr. Chipping's like like he fucking starts to like go into his own like,
out.
Yeah, he starts to like spiral, and he's like, I'm so embarrassed as a teacher, like I could never like live with myself if I knew this.
But my question to you is that why did he believe Jughead wholeheartedly?
Because he knows. 100% he knows, but I think that like Chipping was in on it, but now that someone knows about the whole secret, he's coming around and he's like, fuck, now that Jughead knows the story, like this is going to go badly. Do you think
it made sense that he jumped out of the window because of that?
No.
It kind of felt like a little extra. I was like, did you really have to do that though?
It was very
like,
extra,
no one was coming
but we'll get to that in a second.
Like,
I was like, ain't nobody was going to come for your shit. But like, anyway, we'll talk about that in a second. Cutting back to Archie, and he gets home and he finds like a mask like stuck to the door with a knife, and he walks right in. He's like, Mom, we got to go. Like, we got to pack up. We got to get out of here. And then sure enough, right away, like there's like a shoot out. Yeah. Like they like shoot up his entire house, and they barely get away. I was like, if Dodger was smarter, he would have just like shot him dead as he was walking into the house, or like killed Mary as like on this, like killed her earlier. Like, I don't know. There would have been so many opportunities for Dodger to do something shadier. Anyway, it cuts to the lodge residence, and it like Veronica walks into her dad's study, and she's like, hermosa. And then she like, it cuts to that shot, and it's Hermosa sitting at like the desk. But now there's like a brand new painting, and then Veronica's like, what the fuck is that? Well, she doesn't say that, but she's like, what is that? And Hermosa's like, oh yeah, like Papi, he like got a commission for me, and like it's very cute. And she's like, only the best for the apple of my eye. Like, I'm very like, I'm doing this accent.
Yeah, you sound kind of like Arab too, mixed with like Spanish.
I'm like, you don't think I sound like Sofia Vergara? Whatever. So then I was like, okay, so is he playing both of them? Is Hermosa the bad one, and she's like playing against her? Like,
well, if he replaced the portrait, he's obviously playing them both. Like, it's not just her.
True. Yeah, but I don't know if I even believe what she says, because like her saying exactly the line, like, you're only the bad, like you're the apple of my eye. I'm like, we know that Hermosa can bug shit. She probably bugged the fucking whole like living room, you know. Yeah. So she could have just like used that against Veronica to make her like go crazy, because that's what Veronica does. She goes like insane. The question that I have is, do you think that Veronica is being unreasonable right now, or is she like, should she play a little bit nicer? Yeah, she's being unreasonable.
She doesn't even give a shit about her dad. So why does she care that if her painting is hanging up on his freaking desk? Who cares? True. I guess she's girl, just, like, move out. On the inside. Like, get some space in between you and the parents.
True. You need some healthy
boundaries. I think she just needs to create like a little bit of space until they like resolve their issues, and then she can come back. Because like, it's a weird situation. She's fighting to be daddy's girl, kind of, not really, because she doesn't want to be, but then she's kind of like jealous too, which is understandable. But
I get it.
Like, take a break from it. Let Hermosa be the daughter for like a hot minute.
Yeah, you've been wanting to not be the daughter this whole time, to the point where you wanted to change your last name. Exactly. So like, maybe it's worth her just taking the helm and being like, she should be like, yo, Hermosa, you want your dad? Like, go the fuck right ahead, because he's a fucking piece of work.
She should have said that. That would have made more sense.
That would have made more sense. But whatever. She gets emotional. She gets really pissed off about it. But yeah, what do you think about where this is all leading with the two of them?
I think what it's going to eventually lead to is like this partnership between the two of them as sisters, maybe working against him. Which I'm down to see.
But to what end? To like put him back in jail?
That's the thing. I'm down to see them as sisters working together, but I'm not down for Hyrum to be the villain again for this season. Yeah, so I don't know which one is going to happen, because I feel like it's going to be one or the other. But I don't know. I'm just over Hyrum being the villain. Like, we've seen this whole time. Let's switch it up a little bit, you know?
I agree. So then it cuts to Hyrum and Archie, and they're talking at the Royale, and this is when Archie's basically like, yo, I need your help. And this is the thing that kills me about Archie, okay? He does this all the fucking time with Hyrum, where Hyrum basically is like, let me help you. Archie's like, no. And then he goes to him like 2 minutes later, and he's like, can you do something? Like, I won't take your blank check, but I'll ask you to murder a fucking gangster. Yeah. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. So, yeah, basically, Hyram's like, you know, I can't do that. Like you can't be asking me to do anything illegal. Wink, wink. And then Archie's like, yeah, obviously not. And then he like leaves. And I was like, okay, so obviously something bad is going to happen. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, Archie, do you want his help or not? Can you be friends with him or not be friends with him? Like, what's going on? Because you could be like rolling in money. You could be like hiring your own like gang if you needed to with that fucking blank check. And instead you're just like asking him on the side to kill somebody. Like, what the hell? So anyway, it cuts to Mr. Chipping, and he's talking to the kids, and he's like, the book is Heart of Darkness. I can't function anymore. And then he jumps out the fucking window.
He looks at the window, and I'm like, what the fuck is he going to do? And then he like runs for the window. and kills himself, which is very much like a Westworld kind of thing. It felt like
it's very
like it's almost like
it's
he was
robot.
like possessed by something, and like it made him do that.
Yeah. And then the even creepier than that is like Jughead like freaks out. He's like, "Oh my God, somebody go get help." He turns around and all like the rest of the students are sitting at their like chairs, just like staring at him like a weirdo.
That's weird.
So I'm like, so all of you guys are in on it, and all you guys are unfazed by him falling, like literally falling down. And I was like, okay, something's obviously wrong. And like, why isn't anybody clocking this shit? Because this is fucking ridiculous. Anyway, that was a really creepy moment. So then it cuts to Thistle House, and again she hears like Cheryl hears something, and she's like, "Titi, awaken!" And then this is when she finds her uncle down in the chapel, and he sees Jason, and then that's when he freaks out. He's like, "You are fucking batshit crazy! Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?" He like dashes Tony to the side. He starts to like hold Cheryl to the wall, and he's like, "You're gonna go to the mental institution, you fucking psycho bitch." And Tony hits him over the head with like what looks like a gigantic wrench. Like I was like, what did you hit him over the head with?
I don't know.
Like a statue of like the Virgin Mary?
No, it literally looked like a giant wrench. Like,
yeah, I was like, what is this? So she hits him over the head, and like blood starts like seeping out of his head. So like, is he dead then?
Yeah,
like,
he's probably dead.
So he's probably dead. They basically killed somebody. I mean, for
Which
good
makes
reason.
sense.
He was like,
he was gonna kill her.
Really,
too.
he was literally attacking her. So I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, could you blame her? Could you blame him? He was like, he finds like his nephew like stuffed in a fucking basement.
For sure.
Like
it's all
weird.
messed up.
It's all messed up. So then it cuts to the jail, and Chick answers the phone. And then the gag of the episode,
it's Charles.
Charles
oh
is on the other side. And he's like, "Hey, baby, like, we're like fucking totally screwing everybody over." Like,
hey,
he's like,
do they explain in that moment why they're doing this?
No, they don't say anything. They just say like basically everybody's buying the whole storyline.
Like, stupid. Why would they be doing this at this point?
I mean, here's the thing. I will say that even though RAS did tell us that we were supposed to get a normal fucking brother for Betty, we didn't get that. I will say that the fact that they reintroduced Charles and he's alive, I definitely thought that they were going to bring in like the whole Chick Charles. Like it was so unfinished. Like that whole storyline was so unfinished that the fact that they reconnected it all, I'm like, okay, like I might not be like 100% down because I still don't know what the fuck is happening, but also I'm like, I get why.
I just don't want this to be
another play like, with that a little
another bit. Bad story for Betty. Like I just want her to have a normal effing sibling. That's all I wanted for her.
It's true. All I want for her is to have a normal sibling.
And like even at the end when they like when she's like, "I'm so sorry, I doubted you," I was like, oh, here we go. The minute the character apologizes for thinking that the other character is shady, the character is probably shady.
It's so true. So whatever. So now we know that Charles is working with Chick on some like crazy level or whatever, which is going to piss me off if this all reconnects back to Penelope. Like Charles is working for Penelope.
Oh, you think so?
I'll be like, I mean, Chick was working for Penelope. So like it would make sense if there was a connection there. But I'm also like, why are we still talking about old storylines?
Or maybe like it's just Charles wanting to like learn more about them, and we think that it's shady, but like in the end, like it's like a positive thing. I don't know. I don't know. Like what else? Because what
you're
else
just hoping for like a really happy story.
Like what else could he be doing? He's gonna kill them all again. Like we've been through that storyline already with Hal. Like
it's true. Anyway, we'll see. So then it cuts to Cheryl, and she's talking to her aunt, and she's basically like, "Well, my husband never came home, and I don't know where he went, so I just wanted to check in to see if he was there." Was here, and Cheryl's like, "Nope, he wasn't here. Sorry." And she's like, "Well," and she's like, "Can I look around?" And Cheryl says, "No, you can't unless you have a warrant." And then the aunt is like, "I will get a warrant and I will come back here." And then Cheryl's like, "Have fun with that, bitch." And then that's the end of that scene. But I'm like, so they're basically screwed now. Then it cuts to Archie and Reggie, and they're like going to the El Royale. and they see like something rolled up on the side of a dumpster. They open it up and it's fucking Dodger. It's Dodger,
yeah.
right?
He's like severely like beaten up, almost like
he's like
he's not dead, but like he's beaten. And then,
which is like weird to me because I was like, if you're rolling him into a,
just kill
like,
him.
yeah, he's like, he's already in a dumpster,
maybe he's
rolled
gonna
up
die,
in a
like,
rug
in the hospital, and that will at least give Archie the chance to like call 911, let the ambulance come, and like he won't look as guilty, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, he asked for this shit, so I'm like, okay, like, what else did you want to happen? You wanted to get rid of Dodger, aren't you happy? Like, why are you? Anyway, whatever. Then the final scene is Jughead talking to the rest of the students who are obviously still like cray because they're like, oh, you know, like when like he jumped out the window, that was great. Like they don't even care at all. Like it's those students are insane. And then they're like, I wonder who's gonna be the new teacher. And sure enough, Mr. DuPont is the one that's taking over the class. And like it zooms in on his face, then it zooms in on like Jughead's face, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like it's going to be like teacher versus student once again. And that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, that was good. It was a lot.
It was good. There was a lot happening. Yeah. I am intrigued by like how things are being set up right now. Like you said, I think I'm really most interested in Jughead's story because I feel like they're really like ramping it up.
Having said that,
did they give us a flash forward at all?
No, they didn't.
No, right?
Having said that, this season is 22 episodes long. So I just want to make sure that these stories, maybe not all of them go to the end, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I don't know if this like murder mystery one will, because we do know that they're going to get the reveal of the, like this whole situation happening at spring break. It's going to happen
throughout the whole season. His is different, right? But like, the Hermosa thing, like all of that.
But we are getting to that murder mystery storyline in the middle of the episode because they said that spring break is going to be the halfway point of the season.
Yes.
Like it's going to happen in the mid-season finale. So like we're going to find out something at that point. Anyway, let's see what happens. Let's get into our recap roundups.
Recap roundups.
Best moment.
What was your best moment?
Our best moment was the same. So I think we can say it at the same time. Mommy and daddy sexy moments. Yeah, I mean,
that was so
I think this was
amazing.
Like, you know, us waiting for that phallus moment years ago in season 2. Like this was the Lodge moment that we were waiting for because we didn't even see them kiss last season. So, and like it was just a hot ass, you know, sequence. You know, Mark Consuelos. He even said in our interview with him, he was like, you bring me in for those sex scenes. Like, I got this. Like, I can do it.
He did say that,
so they definitely did.
We're known for getting hired to like take our shirts off. So you did it, boy. It was just
funny. Like, I can't wait to rewatch it because like the speed of which he like takes off his cufflinks and his shirt. I'm like, dude, the woman's like not even like, she's still in shock that you're even in the apartment. Like, let alone like agreeing to have sex with you. Like,
he basically floated toward her like naked, like his clothes just came off as he was floating toward her. He started at the door.
By the time he got to her, he was like naked,
butt ass naked, which is like such a sexy thought. But anyway,
WTF moment.
What was your WTF moment?
WTF moment. Okay, I'm gonna name them and then let's see what you name. But I definitely put Mr. Chipping jumping out of the window because I just was like, did not expect that at all.
He Superman'd out the window. Like he didn't just like fall out the window. He was like, goodbye, shing. Like it was like a full straight like vertical line. Like it was a horizontal line.
And then also Hermosa's painting threw me off because I was like, damn, like that was a fast turnaround right there.
Like what artist is like turning around a painting within like 24 hours?
And then I think even funny. Like Cheryl's uncle finding Jason was such a huge thing to drop at the end of the episode where I wasn't expecting to even go back to the Blossom house, and then like seeing him, I'm like, shit, he's definitely gonna find out, he's gonna die, and then that's gonna like, you know, so
that's all gonna
so
happen,
a lot happened in the last like 10 minutes.
So I have a few WTF moments as well. The one of them being the shootout, because I was like, that was hella dangerous. Mary could have been dead in like seconds. Also, I was like, they've never done like a full out like gunshot situation like that. So I was
they should just install like bulletproof windows at this point.
Exactly. The other one was the students just staring at Jughead like creepers at the very, like when he does jump out the window. I was like,
Yeah.
these guys are fucking weird. What the fuck is going on? And then of course the finale, like that final like scene with Chick and Charles was also like, what the
I was
fuck?
definitely like, what the fudge? Definitely, yeah, for sure. MVP.
Who's your MVP?
MVP is gonna go to Jughead.
Okay.
I don't choose him a lot.
Why?
I don't choose him a lot, but I think for this episode, I think he did really well with his investigation. I think he was just like really smart about it. The only situation that I didn't appreciate was how freaking aggressive he went on Mr. DuPont, and I was like, bro, what did you think was gonna happen? Like, he wasn't gonna respond to that at all. But I will give it to him for fighting for his grandfather's story, fighting for that legacy, and like, you know, really wanting to get to the bottom of like this whole mystery. Of it all. So I will give him my MVP.
I'm gonna give my MVP to Hyrum for being daddy this episode.
He was
for
cute.
Sure.
He had his.
He was cute.
He was hot. He was.
And
daddy,
like, I just feel like he's like always winning at life. Like, he got out of jail like 10 minutes later. He's fucking his wife after saying that he wanted to divorce her. Like, he's remarrying her. Like, there's all these things that are happening.
It's interesting that I actually want to see that vow renewal scene. That'd be a cool scene to like shoot.
That'd be a cool one.
But I want to see, like, he didn't mention once about the mayor race thing.
No, not
which
this
was kind of
episode,
weird because
sure
like he ended off on that note last week, being like, I'm gonna run for mayor, and then this whole week he just didn't even talk about it. I was like, oh, okay.
I mean, I'm okay with that. They need to give him like 5 seconds to like get his shit together and like run his rum business before he like gets into that. But I definitely was like, good job, like Hyrum, for like being daddy this episode.
He really
was.
Killed it. He was daddy.
LVP.
Who was your LVP?
I'm gonna say Cheryl. And I am so sorry, Cheryl, but girl, you are fucking losing it. Like, you are a hot red mess. You know, I gave you like a good 3 episodes to throw your brother out, and you still haven't. Like, this shit is crazy. On top of that, she was like, oh my god, TC, I had a nightmare that like my parents came back and then my family, and she's like, bitch, that's your real life. Like, you fainted. I'm like, Cheryl, you have hit an all-time low. So she and it doesn't sound like, it doesn't even look like she's handling it properly, and she's dealing with it in the right way. So I'm scared for her. She needs to make some good moves. You know, LVP.
For sure. My LVP is going to go to Hermione for being dickmatized by Hyrum and like not being able to function as a human being after she got the dick.
I don't want to call her I don't want to call her an LVP for being dickmatized, because dickmatized is a real thing, and you know, everyone suffers from it. But I think the real LVP-ness is like, no pun intended. The real LVP-ness is her just being so quiet and so like passive and so like scared of 100%. him. That's more of like what I would.
And like, the writing for Hermione's character, like I'd blame the writers for handling her character so weak again. Like, we ask for it a lot. I think we always say like, give her more lines, give her more activation. She had such a strong season in season 1, and I feel like she's like, literally as soon as Hyrum like enters a scene again, she has like 0 lines. She ends up becoming like this damsel in distress, and like, I guess they're trying to frame her that way, that she's literally dickmatized by him, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't buy it. Like, I feel like she's
like when she
way
reminded
Veronica,
that. She's like, I killed a man. I was like, oh my god, girl, you really did, and like, I loved you in that moment. Like,
we're boss
ass. Like, you were like the best you've ever been when you shot Moneta. Like, so I was like, where's that Hermione? So I don't know. The best line.
What was your best line?
Best line, this one was hard because I was like waiting to hear a best line, and I was like, eh. But I think right at the end when Cheryl's like, Titi, awaken.
I died.
It was cute. It was really cute. But I think too, like, it kind of shows you, if you want to look further into this line, but like, she's just kind of like demanding of Tony too. Like, Tony, come here.
It's
Tony,
true.
this. Tony, I need help with this. Tony, can you move my brother's dead body? Tony, can you? No. Like, at some point, Tony's gonna be like, bro, like, shut up. Like, am I even your girlfriend? Like, you know?
It's definitely gonna. I definitely feel like, to your point, I think that's gonna put a huge strain on the relationship. her like relying so heavily on Tony, and like Tony's a kid, like she's not gonna be able to handle it all forever.
For sure, yeah.
My best line, I've got a few. The one that I'm gonna say is when Veronica says, "Cops are on their way, asshat," because I love the word asshat. But there was also that whole situation with mommy and daddy, but we've already said those lines. I can't believe
you didn't choose that as your best line.
I know. Was that 4-player punishment? I was like, ooh, and then I already regret this. Like, I want that on a t-shirt. I want that on my like bedspread. Like, I already regret this.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Such a good episode. I'm so happy they gave us that moment just to finish off this entire podcast. But anyway, before we end off this podcast, we have a few announcements. The first one is, as NB mentioned, we have our contest going on right now for a chance to win a $50 Amazon gift card and a pop socket. To enter, all you need to do is rate, hopefully a little bit higher than 4 or 5 stars, wink wink, and comment on our iTunes page, and you'll be entered in the draw. The contest ends December 11th, where we'll be drawing one lucky winner. I'd also take the time to thank our patrons of the episode, our Rewinder squad. We got White, and we got a new patron this week, Nicole.
Oh.
Thanks for joining. And then we got our Lit Rewinders, our Tina Ann, Sarge, Serena, Soleil, Kate, and Jessica. And our Mommy Rewinders, Becca, Sarah, Tamala, and Grace.
And if you would like to join our Patreon family, check us out at patreon.com/recap_rewind. If you join, you'll get access to all things Recap Rewind exclusive contest, content, and updates.
And make sure you guys are checking us out on all of our socials, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. And you can find us on Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iTunes. Like, subscribe, follow, review, and comment to stay engaged with us at Recap Rewind. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.